Hey, how we going, guys? Mick here from Knockout Till. Back with another kick-ass beer review. Yes, it's another home brew. We are maxed out on the Keezer. It's only a 4-tap, where we're running 7 kegs. We've got splitters going on, so we're using the 7th keg to flush and clean lines sort of between beers. Can't really accommodate a bigger system at the moment. I'm actually looking at downsizing, but maybe once I've downsized, I'll maybe convert this one to a maturing setup so that we can just run those kegs under pressure, maintain pressure, and allow certain beers to mature in the keg inside this unit. So yes, and looking at going a brand new freezer, building another Keezer. Been looking at doing it for a long time, and then I sort of steered away from it and sort of coming back to it now. Just want to go back to the 3 taps, smaller unit. I've got a fridge, a glass front fridge coming, where I'll start to maybe look into doing the pressure fermentation. A lot of sort of people saying don't bother with it. I don't know myself. I've done it in kegs using carbonating stones, sort of fermenting under pressure in kegs. Works quite well, but in all honesty, you can't really notice a difference. And I'm a little bit skeptical about these pressure fermenters that are currently on the market. So lots of research, lots of homework being done. I still sort of can't bring myself to spend the money on purchasing something like that. I like the way I set up the pressure fermenting in basic like the Coca-Cola or Pepsi kegs, cornies. Much the same. Works quite well, getting the floating dip tube and stuff going, but anything that comes around the floating dip tube sort of scenario, starting to read a bit of feedback there too, that things can become stuck. Floating dip tubes don't always work, and guys are starting to get more of the just pumping gas and foam rather than pumping out their beers, so they've got to weigh them down a little bit, and we'll see how we go from there. Anyway, this is about a beer, second time round doing this one. This is Malt versus Science, and there's a bit of a catch on that. There's people who know about a particular band, Art versus Science. Malt versus Science come about. We've done a bit of a get together quite a few years ago with the Cambridge Hotel, when Art versus Science played there with there's a couple other bands as well. It was an awesome night. It's going back quite a while now, and the atmosphere and the way things went there sort of inspired me to go down the road of doing this beer here. Once again, Grainfather app, a 20 litre batch this time round, 3 litres of loss, 60-minute boil, 80% mash efficiency, 26.76 litres of mash volume, 3.12 litres of sparge volume. Come in at an original gravity of 1051, final gravity of a 1010, 38.5 IBUs, 17.7 EBCs, 5.34%. It comes in under the American IPA category for this one. It fit the colour, it fit a couple other things. It's a little bit lower entry on an American IPA, but it is more of the old school American IPA. So the Malt versus Science, only two grains going into this one, 4.5 kilograms of the Maris Otter, Gladfield branded Maris Otter, and the Gladfield branded Crystal Dark, which was 350 grams of the Crystal Dark. Mashed out 65 for 60 minutes and mashed out at 75 for 10 minutes. The hops in this beer for the schedule were Centennial, 20 grams of pellets at a 6-minute boil, 20 grams of Cascade at the 30-minute, 40 grams of Amarillo at hop stand, 25 grams of Amarillo for a dry hop, which was done on day 3, and we brung some more cascading, 25 grams on day 7. American Ale 2, 1272 was the yeast that actually went into this beer. So back to the wet yeast, liquid yeast. So this one, 18 degrees for 10 days, with a slight drop over those 10 days, and then back up for a slight rest. We'll pour it up, and have a little bit more of a talk about it. The aroma, the colour, the flavour, and quite strangely we're starting to get some, we call them fruit flies or bar flies. I think I've gotten rid of most of them. Plugs are in the taps now, but they seem to be hanging around, so I think it's more the drip trays. We'd get those sort of, they are clean now, just keep them clean. But I think it's just the moisture dripping off the front of the keezer, along with some of the residue and stuff. It sort of keeps them attracted. So that is the Malt versus Science American IPA. Colour's quite good on it. Actually, it's a lot brighter on camera than what it is. I'll hold it back a bit. Yeah, so there's a little bit. Yeah, it's got more of a darker tinge to it than sort of up close. The fluorescent light, which is actually an indoor, it's a medium light, so it's a light designed for growing indoor plants, like ferns and stuff like that. We've pulled a heap of those out of an office job that we done, so there's quite a few of those lights laying around here. They come in handy, I'll tell you that now, particularly when you're detailing. They got some really good luminums going on with them. Anyway, so the colour is really good. Yeah, it's only a sort of a light, simple head. Once again, it's pretty green on the tap. The thing I like, the Amarillo that comes through on this particular beer, and the Cascade. So we're getting some really good Cascade notes coming across. That Maris Otter, a little bit more sort of a bit of a chewy note to it, and the Amarillo just comes through so well on this beer. Nothing changed the second time round. I didn't feel that I needed to tweak it. It just was got it going through my beer list quite a few weeks ago, and the Grainfather app, there is just hit 110 recipes that I've developed. Some clones, but some come from other sort of websites and apps and stuff, but I've just tweaked them using the ingredients that are readily available to me, particularly the malt, and other sorts of things. I sort of don't really bother much going into the chemical water chemistry on these beers, or any other beers for that fact. Yes, you've got your basic Werflock and Camden tablets. Anything beyond that is sort of what I set up. Obviously, pH is going to change between tap water to tap water. It's also going to change from for individual brewers' schedules and so forth. So in for a taste. The Maris Otter is really good. The nice amount of dark crystal coming through. I didn't think it was going to work first time around particularly well, but the reason why I chose to just keep running with that particular recipe the way it was is because it did work well. 350 grams of dark crystal into it should be a whole lot different in colour, but I think the fact that the Maris Otter is technically really sort of like it's more of like the English style a bit more of a bite to it, a bit more of a chew. Doesn't have a hell of a lot of colour itself, in my opinion. Others might have a different opinion about that, but I think it does carry really well, work together. I think some suppliers of malt with their dark crystals are a whole lot darker. They vary so much. So obviously they've got a scale they work with, and I think the one that Gladfield uses is not as heavy as some of the others that are out there. I've had a crystal dark that would just be like Red X or something like that. Turns the beer red, or like a copper colour. Not so much the case with the dark crystal from Gladfield's. The flavour's there for it, but just doesn't have that colour transfer. So there's something different I think Gladfield does over some of the others. Just another beer to have on tap for a bit of variety. I'm not going to, I mean, for like I mentioned, for others the beers might not taste that good, but for me, I love how my beers turn out. My style of brewing suits me quite well, and I'm not out to really impress anyone else. Just as long as I'm happy with it, that's all that matters. Cheers.